For our next session on EPR, I would like to call upon our new Honorary Secretary, Tushar Bhotika, to come out upon the stage and take this forward. Thank you.
Still the Vice President. I take over as Honorary Secretary only on the first. Good evening, guys, and welcome to the AGM event of the BMPA. A full house, as usual, great attendance. So, I don't know how many of us are aware about the subject of EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility with respect to plastic packaging. The BMPA already had one seminar a couple of months back at the Sunville, or maybe more, I think 3 months now. And we have tried to publicize today's talk also by an expert from the industry, Mr. Saurabh Shah. Can I have a show of hands of how many have actually registered for EPR so far? So 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you've done your registration. Sorry? Okay, 5, 6, 7. Great, fantastic. From around 40, 50 people, 7 have registered. So the question which is there is to be or not to be. That is the question. We have had opinions from experts from Bombay, from outside Bombay. I've been talking to a few Carton Forum members. And there are various shades of opinion coming. And some of the opinions actually say that most of us printers don't need to register. So this is a dilemma which many of us are facing. I am one of those because although we are all prepared to register, and it's humongous data, the amount of data collection which will now come forward as we discuss this is unbelievable. And if we do have to register, we just have till end of September as such, as per the government deadline set. So we have Mr. Saurabh Shah, Managing Director of Landbell Green Forest Solutions India. Mr. Saurabh, can you please come forward? A round of applause for him, please. Hi, Saurabh. So, Saurabh has, I'll just give a brief introduction of him. He has a master's in electrical engineering and MBA in marketing from the University of California. He has worked in various engineering and marketing capacities for national and international organizations in India and the USA. He has an experience of 15 years working in the waste management industry. He is a subject matter expert on circularity and circular economy. He is a member of the CII Waste to Earth Committee and is often called upon to speak about EPR, plastic waste management and e-waste management in national and international forums. So, Mr. Saurabh is going to give us a presentation on how he understands EPR and what we need to look for, after which we shall follow it up with a round of questions and answers. But please take serious heed to what he is saying. Thank you. Over to Mr. Saurabh.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be here speaking at Bombay Master Printers Association. And compliance is never a happy subject to speak about, right? And also to listen to, especially when you have cocktail and dinner waiting for you and somebody's talking about compliance. The first thing is ye kabhi khatam hoga, right? But this is the truth of the matter, that extended producer responsibility is here. Not just in plastic waste, but in electronic waste, in waste tires, we also have used oil, that is lubricant oil, various multiple subjects. The big question really is that why extended producer responsibility? I have been working in the waste management sector for the last 15 years, and we, despite Swachh Bharat mission, despite Clean India, Modi ji shouting from the top of the Red Fort saying that we need to get our country clean, but it is a humongous target, right? It's not easy for a country of 140 crores to get all the cities clean of all the waste that we have in our cities, in our water bodies. We see people who know that Deonar has been a dump site which has been a sore site for so many years without any solution. So the key is that the municipalities do not have the capability to be, or the resources. Of course, we know that Mumbai is the richest municipality in Asia, but their resources are maybe used in a lot of different things, but waste management comes at the bottom of the priority. Things have changed over the last 10 years. People are more aware. People know about waste management. And the fact that we are sitting here in a printers association and discussing about extended producer responsibility means that waste management is becoming more and more mainstream. Forget about businesses talking about waste management. You know, when we were children, we did not know much about waste management through our education. Of course, our mothers and our grandmothers would never ever discard any newspaper. They would say it has to go to a raddiwala for the best value, right? The next would come as PET bottles, then shampoo bottles, etc. But unfortunately, the packaging material that we have, the multi-layer packaging that we have, etc., is always found in the bin or on the streets, polluting and creating more and more waste. So now the idea is, how do we tackle, as India becomes more of a consumption-based economy, how do we tackle these different streams of waste? And in that, fortunately or unfortunately, plastics always come at the top of everybody's attention, because plastic is so omnipresent. Plastic is everywhere. We cannot imagine our lives without plastic. Be it from the chairs that we sit on, or be the packaging that we use, the Zomato and Swiggy boxes that we order, Amazon packets that we order, we just cannot imagine, or the cars that we drive. There's so much plastic being used. So here I'm going to take the next few minutes in discussing about the EPR compliance, which is extended producer responsibility. Ideally, the extended producer responsibility lies with the brand owners. These are the brands that you and I use on a daily basis. These are the Colgates, the Pepsis, the Coca-Colas, the different shampoos that we use, and all of that. These are packaging material that we use. They are the final bearers of this extended producer responsibility. But because we are a part of the ecosystem, because we feed packaging material to them, there some responsibility also comes onto us, and that's something that we'll be discussing. So a little bit about our organization. We are basically a joint venture of two German companies. Landbell Group is world's largest EPR services company with a presence in about 20 countries and about 40,000 customers only giving EPR services. And Black Forest Solutions, on the other hand, is a Berlin headquartered company which offers advisory services on different streams of waste management, hazardous waste, all the way to plastic waste. And we are a small team growing pretty fast. I have with me Ravi also, who's my colleague here, who heads operations. But we are a global team offering these solutions across the world. What is the reason for extended producer responsibility? We, of course, spoke about it. The idea is to put the onus or the responsibility of the plastic waste on the manufacturer. This concept first was introduced in Germany in the early 90s, and then it caught up really well across different European countries. By the way, some of you might know, some of you may not, but Europe is far ahead in terms of sustainability waste management as compared to the US. In the US, the simple funda is that whatever waste we have, we'll put in the landfill sites. They have the luxury of space, but overall, their understanding of sustainability is far behind than that is in Europe. So that's just a little trivia for you all. How did EPR come into existence? So in 2016 is when the plastic waste management rules were first introduced in the country. And this is also when, by the way, we were, as far as waste management is concerned, we were in a big policy paralysis for almost 16 years. Before the waste management rules came in 2016, and along with that, all the different streams of waste management rules came. Before that, there were 16 years for which there were no policies on waste management. The last policy before that was in the year 2000. So imagine for the 16 years there were no policies. But the government then took up a mission that we must get our act together as far as all the policies are concerned. So in the year 2016, a lot of different waste management policies came about. And you will see the implementation of that happening in the years to come. So right now we are at the stage here in 2023 where there is already a portal of CPCB. So for those of you who have already registered for EPR will know this. For those who are not and thinking about it will also experience this, that now the entire compliance, the government is trying to digitize it and make sure it is all happening on a centralized portal where you can buy the credits and then the recyclers can offer the credits there. Right? So who are the impacted entities? They are the producers, importers, brand owners on one side, and the plastic waste processors or recyclers on the other side. So producers are any producer of plastic packaging. So most people sitting in this room would fall in the category of producers. Importers, these are importers of plastic packaging. So for example, if I am bringing in any material from outside which has packaging, plastic packaged in it, the government is asking you to also comply as an importer. A brand owner, like we said, it's the simplest to understand. So from Pepsi, Coca-Cola to Amazon, to Flipkart, to Zomato, Swiggy, whoever you can think of who uses plastic packaging, packaging specifically, is supposed to comply. Now you would say that Neel Kamal also uses plastic for their chairs. Are they required to comply? No, that's not a plastic packaging. But the packaging that somebody like Neel Kamal would use to package their products would make them comply for this. Then there are auto companies. For example, your dashboards are made of plastic. Your bumpers, your dickies, etc. are all made of plastic. Are they required to comply? No. But whatever packaging these guys might be using, for that you have to comply with EPR. Now the challenge in our country is that it's not as simple ki bas ek producer hai, ek importer hai, ek brand owner hai. No, our supply chain is so complex. There are so many distributors, traders in between that everybody is confused. Even the government, to be honest with you, is confused at who has to comply, who doesn't have to comply. Because if you think about it, it starts from the petroleum. Our good friends Ambani's, they control the petroleum, and from there to the polymers. Then you have converters who convert granules into different packaging products. We have packaging people. Most of the people sitting in this room fall into that category, and then you have the brand owner. From the brand owner to the end customer also, there is a distributor, there's a retailer, and then it finally goes to a consumer. This, although it is complex, I'm still sure most of you will think that this is still simple. There are so many more players and actors into it. But we'll not worry about the entire world. We'll worry first about ourselves and whether what do we have to do, whether we have to comply or not, and what is it that we have to do. And we are calling ourselves as packaging people. So I have just put together some case studies and say that whether or not you have to comply, and you can answer this for yourselves. Which one do you fall into? I am a printer. I buy plastic and make non-packaging items such as visiting cards, tent cards, flex banners, etc. Do I need to comply with EPR? Right now, the answer as the regulation stands is no. You are not making packaging material, so you do not have to comply with EPR. Okay, so that's the first case. The second case here is, I am a printer. My customers, which are brand owners, buy the ready packaging material. I only print, pack and ship for them and charge them a service fee per piece. Let's say, do I need to comply with EPR? So we are the packaging guys here. The answer is still no, that I am not making packaging material. Now there is this little twist to the next part, which is, I am a printer. My customers, which is brand owners, buy the paper and plastic. I make the laminate packaging, right? And I print, pack and ship for them and charge them a service fee. Do I need to comply with EPR? The answer is yes. So long as we are making the packaging material, we have to comply with EPR. Next is, I am a printer. I buy plastic, paper and other packaging material on behalf of my customer, or which is the brand owner. I print, pack and ship for them and charge them a service fee. I'm still not selling the packaging material. I'm only selling a service. Okay, do I need to comply with EPR? The answer is yes. And this is a discussion that Tushar and I had, a pretty lengthy discussion that we had on Saturday, that there are so many different cases, so many different scenarios, but so long as you are making the packaging material, you have a CTO, you are making a packaging material, you have to comply with EPR. Now, one more case. I am a printer. I buy plastic, paper and other packaging material. I make packaging material and I sell the packaging material to registered and unregistered customers. Do I need to comply with EPR? The answer is yes. not necessary that all your brand owners will be registered brand owners. And now there's also this whole thing of you want people above and below your supply chain also to be registered so that your compliance is passed on, your cost of compliance is passed through. But there could be some that, for example, let's say I'm making 1 lakh packaging pouches, out of which I'm selling 70,000 to a brand which is registered. I'm selling another 20,000 to another brand that's registered. But I'm selling the rest 10,000 in the market to the distributors who are then selling it to retailers. Now those who are not registered, but you still have to comply. You have to register and comply with EPR. I'm a printer. I buy plastic, paper, and other packaging material from registered converters. You're always buying it from let's say you're buying plastic sheets along with paper. You're buying it from a converter who is registered. I make packaging material and sell. Do I need to comply? Here you see an additional that I have said is that you also import. Maybe you are buying most of it locally, you are also importing some of the plastics. You still need to register. Here you probably need to register as a producer and as an importer. Okay? Finally, the most important question that everybody has, what about the cost of compliance of EPR? The good news here in this entire discussion of compliance is, so long as you can establish selling to registered brand owners, your cost of compliance is 0. Yeah? So that's the only good news I have in this entire discussion. That it's not a bad thing to be registered in EPR, so long as you can establish on the CPCB portal that you are selling all your material to registered brand owners, your compliance cost gets passed on to the brand owners. Right? And what are the 3 steps that one needs to do as far as registration, as far as compliance is concerned? Similar to filing taxes, a little 1 step extra, that you have to first register yourselves. And this seems a little cumbersome, but once you go through the process, it's fairly straightforward that you get registered. And when you get registered, you also figure out, when you put all your purchase data and all your sales data, that what is the compliance you have in tons of plastic that you have to do in that financial year. Once you get your compliance, the CPCB only throws back the number at you that you have to comply for. And there are different categories here. So there is category 1, which is rigid plastic, category 2, which is flexible plastic but monolayer, which means it has only plastic or multiple layers of plastic. Category 3 is multi-layer, which has paper and other paper, plastic, metals, etc. I'm assuming most of you sitting here would fall in category 2 and category 3. So you will also figure that out, that what are the different categories in which I have to comply. So whatever categories in which you have to comply, then you have to purchase the EPR credits. But like I said, when you are doing the annual returns, if you are able to establish a relationship with the brand owner and say that all your compliance cost gets passed on to the brand owner, and that's when you have to do at the end of year the annual returns. So that's pretty much the process of EPR compliance. It sounds a little cumbersome. Of course, compliance is never fun, but one has to go through it, and it is something that one has to do. And if you have any questions about it, we'll be happy to answer. If your quantities are small, if you're able to do it yourselves, you should definitely give it a shot. There are also a lot of experts out there who can help you with it. But I will just end with one disclaimer. This is an evolving regulation. There is still not 100% clear answers about about all the questions that you might have, but you have to take it in your stride and take that first step of registering for EPR. That's it. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, there are questions. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I'll just come to you. So, I'll come. So this has all been made so beautifully simple. I'm sure everybody is so clear and we're all going to be so happy after this. Who agrees and who does not? Does anybody agree with that? Oh. Huh? Raid aa jayega. Well, let's not hope for that. So before I come to the questions, I can see a few people raising their hands. First of all, I would like to thank you, Saurabh, for that presentation.
Thank you.
Now, there are quite a few things he has tried to cover, and there are a lot of questions, including from me, which many of us will have. So please raise your hands, and I'll come to you one by one. I'll go to this gentleman first, Mehul, because he was first up.
Can I also call upon my colleague Ravi to also be here so that if questions are there, you can also. Bouncer hoga to he will take. He's an opening batsman.
Mr. Saurabh, my question is that as you said that if your brand owners are registered, then the liability on the producer is zero. In case of export, suppose out of 100 tons, if I am exporting 20 tons, then
Yeah, the
what-
rule has clearly written that for whatever material is being exported, there is no liability.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Because Indian government is worried about the waste that is generated in the country, not in some other country.
Yeah, I have one.
One second, Nitin bhai. I would just like to add here that let us understand what are the plastic items that we are covering. We as printers obviously do a lot of lamination. We buy plastic for window patching and foil stamping. The foils also have plastic. Now, I have been made to understand that there is one form of plastic which each and every one of us buy. The paper we buy comes packed in plastic bundles. That does not fall on any of your bills. So if you're buying lamination film, you're buying it outright, your bill says कि भाई 50 kilo 10 micron का BOPP film खरीदा. When you're buying window patching film, 100 micron का इतना kilo film खरीदा. Foil stamping also you can convert it with a formula. What probably which we are all missing out on, where I believe the danger lies, is the paper that we buy. And that is the maximum quantity of plastic that we are all handling. We all need to ascertain those quantities. And before I come to you, Nitin Bhai and Mehul, let us try and understand that Mr. Saurabh mentioned about annual returns. Now, first of all, the law, please correct me, Mr. Saurabh, if I'm wrong. As the law stands today, we are all first supposed to file returns for the last 2 financial year, which is 21-22 and 22-23. Based on the plastic component that you have handled, there is a liability of 30% and 70% for the first 2 years. So, for example, if in 21-22 your total purchase of plastic by any means is, say, 1,000 kg. Now, for the first 2 years, there is no way that you can ascertain that you have sold plastic or sold your sales is to a registered user, right? Because so far, nobody has got registered almost till the end of March 23 financial year. Effectively, it means that whatever sales you have done of plastic is 100% liable for that liability of 30% in 21-22 and 70% in 22-23. And there is a cost to fulfilling that liability. There is credits which need carbon credits or something similar which need to be purchased from people who are selling these credits. You have to register on the government portals, which is also quite a cumbersome exercise, because to register on the portals, you have to submit data. That data is not just your purchase data about plastic, which is quite simple because you have bills to back it up. So you will have a lamination film bill जिसमें lamination का quantity दिया हुआ, window patching का दिया हुआ, paper का भी आप समझो आपने साल में महीने में 200 टन paper खरीदा, you can come to a formula. You know, maybe 200 ton paper equals a plastic packaging of maybe 20 kgs. वो सब तो आप फिर भी, it's an exercise that needs to be done. You can do it. The problem is your sales data. Because when you are selling a product after laminating it or foil stamping it or converting it in some way or the other, believe me, you are supposed to submit bill-wise sales data. Each and every bill, the component of plastic that it has. Now just imagine somebody like Nitin Bhai who has 1,000 invoices in a month, 12,000 invoices in 1 year, 24,000 invoices of 2 years. Just try and imagine the kind of data you need to. My company, I have two of my people who are working on that data. We've been working on it for the last 2 months. And we're just about now at the end of that whole exercise. Not only that, so these 2 years returns have to be filed before 30th September as of today. We do hope to get an extension, but as the government works, that extension will be announced on the 1st October ki bhi aur badha diya, not on 30th September. And then there's a penalty. And that penalty is humongous. If you go by strictly by the calculation, your penalties itself can go into lakhs. Further, for the current year onwards, you are not supposed to submit an annual data. You're supposed to submit a monthly data, like a GST return or something. So already almost 5 months gone, another few months will go before you come in line with this. This is all very scary stuff. And believe me, unless we all wake up, we are looking at penalties of lakhs. Unless every day, I'm been seeing for the particularly last 10 days, every second day government is coming out with some amendment to the law. But nothing has come in our favor so far. Not only that, when you register yourselves for your liability from the current year onwards to be passed on to your client, he too has to be registered. Because now, as the law stands, if your sales are to a registered brand owner or whoever, the extent of component of plastic in those sales bill, that liability does not fall upon you. You have passed on the liability. But for that, your client needs to be registered. Similarly, you need to ensure that the people you are buying from, your vendors, are registered. So it's very complex. Please rack your brains right now and raise whatever questions you wish to. Nitin bhai, please, you want to ask something?
Hello. Yeah. Tushar bhai already just mentioned in the end that buying and selling, both of them has to get registered. In case you can't lose the business, if most of the customer are unregistered, they are not registered with EPR, or your supplier is also not registered with EPR.
Yeah.
In that case, what is the liability on you?
Yeah, so the way the rule stands right now is that if you are selling it to somebody who is unregistered, the liability stays with you, right? We just before this one, I was on a call with, and I'm okay to share the name is Duracell, for example. Duracell gets the material packed from a packaging company based out of Madhya Pradesh, and they are not yet registered, but Duracell has to comply. So now, what will happen is that, for example, Duracell will have to put in the data saying that show the invoices from the company, from the packaging company, and also tell the packaging company that you have to register, right? Because the link has to be established. Duracell has to be able to file his annual returns. In that, he has to be able to show the purchase invoices of the plastic. If he's not purchasing, he has to be able to show the service invoices of the entire job that he has done. So once again, to answer your question, if down the supply chain, if your customers are not registered, first of all, the rule says that you're not supposed to deal with any unregistered entity at all. But business cannot stop. So the liability will sit with you. To that extent, out of 100 tons, if your 90 tons are to registered customers and 10 tons are to unregistered, then your liability is for the 10 tons.
So best, whatever you purchase plastic, pay straight away the charges of entire purchase and get rid of by that, credit.
Yes, that's the best. If you have registered people before and registered afterwards, then your liability is nil. But in ideal scenario, it's difficult for that to happen as of now. Correct. As we go along 2-3 years from now, hopefully everybody in the supply chain will be registered, and only the ones who are selling these material in their brand name to the market will be the ones who will have to pay for it.
Thank you very much.
Can I extend this question?
Sure.
Just to extend this question.
Yeah.
Tushar said that you need to give calculation invoice wise that what plastic you have utilized,
Yes.
right? But here, so for example, if I have you purchased say 10 tons of film
Yeah.
and I have produced different cartons for different customers,
Right.
some customers are registered, some are not.
Yeah.
Can I consider 10 tons as my liability? I have used 10 tons. Now, out of 10 tons, 9.5 tons I might have sold,
Yeah.
and 500 kg has gone into waste,
Yeah.
which I have sold to the registered scrap dealer or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, can I, to simplify the whole process, can I pay that 1.5 rupee or 2 rupee per kg
Yeah.
for 10 tons, say 20,000 rupees,
Yeah.
and just get rid of this particular invoice-wise calculation headache?
No, so the headache will be there right now. The government, the Central Pollution Control Board is trying to ease your headache in terms of, bulk upload. Also, there is a lot of recommendation to tie it with GST. Because why you want to put the producers and the importers through the pain of doing multiple different compliances, right? Putting the same data of invoices again and again, again and again. So there are a lot of people are going, a lot of industry associations are going, saying that you ease our pain and just tie it up with the GST so that you have our purchase data and the sales data. But as the situation stands right now, you have to go through the entire process of uploading invoice by invoice of the purchases and the sales.
If I have understood correctly, Tushar has only addressed the film issue, the film aspect.
Yeah.
Now, each and every shipper which we pack, we apply BOPP tape and we apply straps.
Correct.
Right, that also has to be covered.
Yes.
So for all invoices, all these things needs to be calculated.
Yes.
It's a humongous task.
It is.
Next to impossible.
It is. It is.
It's not just the BOPP tape, etc. You're buying ink in plastic cans, you're buying Fevicol in drums. There are so many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, shrink wrap and all
Yeah.
that. Oh,
I was told by one of the consultant that
Yeah.
the BOPP tapes what you use,
Yeah.
that also has to be stickered with a particular code number, and
Right.
that code number has to be mentioned in your invoice that this particular that's what I was told by the consultant. But
No,
for backtracking of the material what we have used.
Correct. So you know what? To be honest with you right now, even if you do not go in that much details of your packaging material, so long as the main product that you have that is being sold in the market, if that has the recycling symbol and whatever is the main required, because ideally, if you think about it, the BOPP tape, you're buying it from somebody, it is his responsibility to make sure that the marking on the tape is there, right? Yes, you cannot use it. That's correct.
okay. Anybody else? Mayor? Okay. Okay.
Export related, already answered, yeah.
So in fact, one of the categories is importers, right? The three categories are producers, importers, and brand owners. We would all generally fall under the category of producers. Now, importers, mind you, so this law became as such applicable only on the 1st of April 2023. Now, we were hearing horror stories in the first couple of months where anything that is imported, it definitely has some component of plastic, even if it's just, तुम्हारा माल को इतना सा spare part है लेकिन उसको plastic में bubble wrap करके बेचते हैं. The import consignments were just getting stuck at the customs because the customs was insisting that you need to have a CPCB registration. So, and I would think that all of us at some point of time are importing either a machine or a spare part or ABC something. So, it is in our own interest to get registered. Yeah, Amit.
So, I have a little different questions that we produce plastics.
Okay.
HIPS, PP, ABS,
Right.
sheets. And we don't waste anything, we consume, recycle that anything what we produce which is been spared after
Yeah.
selling the displays.
Right.
These are rigid, these are not packaging.
HIPS you said.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they're not packaging, these for displays, right?
Okay.
Still we did registration of our,
Okay.
because our consultancy is required. Now you
Okay.
said it is only for packaging.
Yeah.
Do you think we should go away without registration? I mean,
Yeah,
without-
so, we've had this discussion, and this was a question that was asked by Tusharji when we spoke about it. And we spoke to several different people. The way things are right now, and we spoke to somebody from GIZ, which is basically a German government's agency working inside CPCB's office. Okay, so this you can say is from the horse's mouth. They said, as the rule stands right now, if you're not making a packaging material, you need not comply. Right? So long as you're not buying any plastics and there is no wastage, everything is clear.
We buy plastics, granules we buy.
Right.
Right, but we do packaging for the boxes which we supply to our customers.
But that is also packaging material. So long as it is packaging material, you read what the rule is, that it's so long as it is used for any packaging, it has to comply. If you are making, let's say, if you are making car handles, or if you are making, let's say, plastic roofs, you don't need to comply.
But then again, his packaging is that packaging.
For the packaging that he uses, he does.
Any plastic.
That's correct. And the packaging material that he buys, he has to comply.
Thermocol also comes in that?
Thermocol also comes in
Okay,
this.
yes. Thank you so much.
EPS.
So there are certain categories of plastic, particularly in rigid plastic, which have been exempted. So that while we do end up using some of that, particularly the drums, for example, what we buy up, Fevicol. Yeah, so they are basically reusable kind of plastics. They are exempted, but again, that's only going to be a part of our whole gamut of plastics that we handle. Anybody else? Yeah, Shashank.
So for the books, there is a lamination on the cover. Does that require us to be complying with CPCB EPR?
Yeah, good question. So it's debatable. It can be considered as a packaging for the material that you're using, which is the book. So if you were to ask me the question right now, I would say yes, you would have to register.
Okay.
So there is a category called MLP, multi-layer plastics. While that stands for packaging, like he's saying, this lamination bit on book covers, etc., is a gray area. वो अलग चीज हो गई ना. He is being specific about
So here,
lamination.
let's say for whatever plastics we are buying, we have to do it. But let's say we are just talking about what material what is your key sales material. For that, do you have to register? Do you have to comply for those quantities or not? Maybe we just restrict the question to that for now.
So many of our brand owners as of now are not
registered.
Only. Yeah, multiple guys.
Yeah.
We're registered.
Yeah.
Liability eventually would come on us because we're selling
Yes.
it to them.
Yes.
But what happens if people don't register only?
So if people don't register only, the whole system falls flat, falls on its face, right? And there's no, basically EPR has failed is what you can say if nobody registers. But here's, the government is extremely bent and they are not going to, it's non-negotiable right now, EPR as a policy.
See, let us understand that all of us are supposed to submit sales data along with GST codes of our buyers. Their ultimate aim is to go after all these people who are not registered. And let us also understand this is not a law specific to India. I mean, the way of sort of formulating the law and implementing it may be different from country to country. But this is an international mandate. So the government does not really have a choice. From whatever I know, I think Piyush Goyal, he was in charge of sort of implementing this law. He has had multiple meetings with top-level associations, etc. And he has finally told them, I don't have a choice. Fahim, yeah.
Just to answer, Vivek, what you said, that what happens if no one registers? Gujarat GPCB officer told me bluntly that the pollution control department has the power even to disconnect your power.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if you don't do it, they have the power to stop your company.
Yeah. Also,
so let us not take it easy.
As a follow-up to this, some people also ask exports, and because our colleagues are right now, as we speak, advising various governments of various different countries in Asia, Africa, to also come up with this. By the way, India has done a great job in terms of taking the lead in implementing EPR. We get asked questions from multiple different countries on what do we do. For example, in Africa, in Southeast Asia. So if you are doing businesses in those countries, it is important for you to figure out what is the EPR regulation, whether or not it is implemented in that country. Right? So Indian EPR does not apply there, but if that country has EPR, then you have to abide by their EPR regulation.
Sanjay Bhai has a special comment on that. He says Modi ji takes the lead in everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I have from my office Miss Manisha Vaidya, who's been heading our, sort of data collection, etc. I've just invited her. I'll ask her to share what has been the process and the difficulty she has actually faced. So maybe she can, I am also not too sure how they've gone about it. So maybe she can share what are the difficulties she's faced, and you are welcome to ask her questions. Manisha, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. First of all, congratulations to all the printers who have already registered. Because I have gone through this journey, and I think it's a lot of data when it comes to the 2 years of data. So, and it's a lot of information or input you have to have that kind of data, to have that kind of calculation, having the formulas and everything. So kudos to the people who are associated with you, the consultant maybe, or your own team. And first of all, like Saurabh said, there is no clarity yet. So for collecting the data and having that kind of input is what it was a kind of task, a huge task, because no one is there to give us the direction that how the data should be collected, what quantity, because all the data is collected, combined, and last moment we get to know that it has to be submitted per invoice. That's the kind of impossible task. So again, to this point also, after having this much of data for purchase, for sales, we are still not sure that whether at the time of submission, whatever we are going to submit, is it okay, or is it is the way it has to be submitted. So again, I think it's a kind of evolving process that the day by day we will learn that how the data will be collected, how it has to be submitted. So I think with this process we will get to know more about the requirements, what the law is asking. But as a citizen of the country, I think this is a good initiative, because we are talking every now and then about the plastic waste that is getting generated in the generations and in the disposal of the plastic. But there is no accountability so as a citizen, I think it's a good initiative, and we should take our part of our responsibility towards it and comply to the requirements.
Does anybody have any questions?
So this is basically a scenario where we are the printers.
Yeah.
Let's assume that our supplier is also registered and our customer is also registered. Specifically, so for example, we make cartons where we do laminations, we sell it to the brand owner.
Yeah.
So the brand owner will take responsibility for the finished product that we sell to them, right? Now the question is about the packaging. So for example, when you put it in a corrugated box and we stretch wrap it, right? Or the material that we get from our, say, board suppliers, which is packed in the plastic, which as Tushar Bhai mentioned.
Yeah.
Who will take the responsibility, who is supposed to take the responsibility of the packed finished goods? So for example, the box that I stretch wrap and send to my client, will my client take responsibility for that plastic?
Yes, it is, to begin with, it is his responsibility that whatever his goods, for example, he's putting soaps in your, or let's say not soaps, I would say soaps because they also have another packaging. Let's say he's masala. He's a masala wala and putting masalas and putting it in that box. So that is his liability. He is showing a purchase from you, and you are showing sales to him. The wrap as well, the carton, the wrap, whatever plastic is used in his packaging. Okay. So if the masala is put in a sachet, then the sachet. If the box has got plastic lamination, then that lamination. If it has got a wrapping, then that wrapping. The entire thing has to be accounted for.
Okay, so just to clarify, the paperboard that we buy,
Yeah.
if that is wrapped in plastic, that is not our liability then.
That is, to begin, it is your liability until if you're also selling it as a packed one.
No, I'll repeat. I buy paper.
Are you buying that shrink wrap and then you are discarding it, or you're selling it as it is?
No, I'll be selling it as scrap.
Selling it as scrap. So that is your pre-consumer plastic waste. Right? So that is your process waste. That you are buying certain plastic for your own application and it's not in your finished goods.
Right.
So that means it's wastage in your factory.
So all of this will amount to duplication, right?
No, it will
So
not.
Because the guy who will sell me
No, but
wrap,
see,
he will be liable for that.
correct.
I will be liable for
But then
that.
it's not going to your customer. It's going to the scrap wala. So
Correct.
that means
That's right.
the chain ends there. Yeah.
See, Satyen, when we are buying paper from the paper mill, right? It's not their liability if we are registered. In their sales data, they will show कि ये 1 ton paper बेचा, उसके साथ में 10 kilo plastic मैंने wrap करके बेचा. So suppose he has purchased say 1000 kg of plastic for that wrapping. वो 10-10 kg करके 100 जन को बेच दिया या 90 जन को बेचा तो 1000 किलो में से 900 kg उसका liability निकल गया. As long as his buyer is also registered. वो बाकी 100 किलो ऐसे लोगों को बेचा जिसका रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर उसके पास नहीं है तो वो 100 किलो का लायबिलिटी पेपर मिल पे हुआ. सिमिलरली द बेसिक सिंपल थिंग अबाउट दिस EPR as I have understood, we have to first assimilate whatever is the total quantity of plastic which we have purchased either directly like we do for lamination film or indirectly as it is happening for paper bundles and similar. We assimilate that, we take out some sort of formulas and ratios which we can assign to each and every sales invoice. So say for example, all this plastic of various forms and kinds is say 1000 kg a month. And we have bought it from registered people, right? So when we have bought it from registered people, their liability is extinguished, which is not really our concern. Frankly, it doesn't matter if we are buying it from registered or not. What matters for us is whom we are selling it to. Now, out of that 1000 kg of plastic, when over say 1000 sales bill, we are able to ascertain कि इसमें 5 किलो प्लास्टिक है, इसमें 0 प्लास्टिक है, आधा किलो है, and total of that 1000 kg plastic में से 900 kg is say sold to people who are registered under the EPR law. So our liability is restricted only to the balance 100 kg. That 100 kg may be 50 kg of recycled waste that you are selling to your waste guy. Now here, mind you, even if that waste guy is not, if he is registered, even that liability is extinguished. Am I right?
No, it depends. It depends if he is registered as a plastic waste processor. He will be registered as a plastic waste processor and you are selling the material to him. So theoretically, that's your I'm repeating it, this is your pre-consumer plastic waste that you are generating in your process, for which you will stay liable even if you are selling it to a recycler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if the recycler is registered,
Yes, yes.
then it doesn't matter whether a recycler is registered or not. Then it doesn't matter for us.
No, so for your scrap that you are generating, it doesn't matter whether or not the recycle is registered. The liability will be with you because that's your pre-consumer plastic waste. Right now, when you do the calculations, when you are registering and filing and doing your, let's say, registration, whatever your pre-consumer plastic waste is generated, they are just asking for the amount.
So it means we were, after our waste buyer to get himself registered. Even if it doesn't get registered, it is not no harm for us.
Yeah, because you're anyways paying for that EPR liability.
So friends, I request everyone to collecting the data and submitting. It takes minimum 3 to 4 months. When we started, we submitted some data. Consultant said, now there is amendment in law, abhi ye chahiye. There is amendment in law, so ye chahiye. It took us at least 3 to 4 months to collect the data. During submitting, always there is a website problem. It is difficult to upload all the data. To create a password, to username and password to creating, it's a very difficult task. And day by day, many people are getting registered, so it is going to be very difficult. Second thing, everyone should at least start maintaining the records. Whatever dispatches you do daily basis, how much plastic you are consuming, that keep record for that. But one thing you have to keep check. If you have consumed 10 kgs, don't mention that you have consumed 15 kg. And finally, otherwise you will be in a problem. So this data, every invoice if you collect, so it will be easy for you for the annual, monthly compliance. Thank you.
Meera ji.
Hello. Yes, I had a question that instead of each print company doing his own calculation, does it make sense that associations and trade people get together and take out an average formula so that later on there is no dispute with the government? And if there is a rare case and some printer says, no, we don't agree with this calculation, he is then free to do whatever he wants.
Well, Meera ji, actually we are trying to work on that where we are able to give some sort of guideline to our members based on the various kind of products. But like we all said, it's been a humongous task. We've been working on it. I do hope to do that once I conclude sometime during the course of this month. True, but ultimately each one will have to take out his own data because it has to be a sales invoice-wise data. So there is no way but for you to do it yourself. True. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so we're working on that. We'll come out with it. Yeah. Yeah.
Is MSME industry is exempted from this? According to Uttarakhand High Court recent judgment, MSME industry is exempted from this EPR registration. Just check.
If you are a brand owner,
exactly.
Then
it's only if you are, the law is very clear on this. I don't know if there's a recent High Court judgment, but if you are a brand owner, eligible under MSME and duly registered. No, at least, I mean, this law, which we have been talking about now since April, right from day one, it is very clearly mentioned that if you are an MSME and a brand. No, that's what. No, we've already checked. Unless there's a fresh judgment, I'm not aware of. At least I don't know if Saurabh is aware.
I can tell
Please.
you something that small and micro industries, if you're a registered brand owner, then you are exempt. But a producer of plastic packaging is not exempt. There is an amendment, like a lot of people are saying amendments coming out almost every day. They have eased the process of registration in terms of the purchase data, etc. that you need to, so there is some exemption in the data that you have to upload, but there is no exemption in whether or not you have to register.
Great. Any more questions, please? We need to wind up then. Okay. I think, yeah, okay.
One. Hello. Yeah, my name is Gautam, but I am from Extra Chemtech. We have been importing EVA film from Germany. Now there is a case. I have been watching this, the gazette. For last 4 gazettes, I have been noticing, right from the 2021 onwards. Earlier it was 20 microns. That is only they mentioned the film only. That has come to 50 micron, 50 micron to 75 micron. And now last gazette was passed in the month of December. Now when they are passing the gazette, they are writing only the one simple word, the film likewise. Now
say that again, sir.
Film likewise. Okay. So we have been importing the EVA film that has been wrapped for the manufacturing of the hot melt glue. Now hot melt glues are being, I think so, melted in the melter. And along with this, EVA film is a part of the hot melt adhesive only. So in that connection also, I had been to the commissioner, but commissioner also finally said that it is not my cup of tea to give you the reply on that. Now what do you want to say on that? Because we are also from the CPCB. And I have done a lot of communication with the CPCB Delhi also. Now from there also they said who has passed the gazette, he is not qualified enough to understand this.
See, I'm sorry I did not get your name. See, the whole problem
my name is Gautam Bhatt.
Yeah, Gautam Bhai, see, that's the whole problem with any government department. Like I mentioned to you, there's some friends of us who are members of the BMPA based in Indore. They went and met the local commissioner of CPCB. He is saying, "आप हमारे हिसाब से आपको नहीं register करने का है, but हम writing में आपको guarantee नहीं दे सकते."
No, sir. So, but the thing is that now they are mentioning the film. I said this is not a film.
Yeah, but see, I mean, I'm sorry to cut you. Sir,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you, but I mean, you can take this one-to-one with him because
Okay.
this is not really a question which is relevant for the general audience.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Great. Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Saurabh and Mr. Ravi, for your time. I'll request Nitin Bhai or maybe Sanjay Bhai, can you come forward to felicitate him, please? Big round of applause for him, please. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much, Saurabh. Thank you, Ravi. Tejas, can you take over? Just a few more minutes because we start our damping process, alcohol damping.
Yeah, I think listening to all these compliances, I think we all need a drink. The bar is open, but before that, I would like to call Vivek Tibrewala to give a vote of thanks because I'm exhausted now.
Thank you, members and the past president for making it to the AGM today. I would also like to thank the outgoing managing committee members who have made a valuable contribution to the AGM and to the members of the BMPA. Amit Shah, Ankul Nanavati, Ashutosh Agarwal, Fahim, Iqbal, Mehul, Milap, Mukesh, Nitin, Sanjay Bhai, Sabhagya, Siddharth, Tejas, Tushar, Vineet, Vishi, Vivek Khanna, and myself. I would also like to thank Prakash Cancer, Tushar Dhote, Mehul Shah, and Vishwanath Shetty for their contribution to Print Bulletin, the entire team at MMS for collaborative work throughout the year. We'd also like to thank Shripad Kulkarni of the Ashwarya team for the entire Print Bulletin communication, the auditors Gandhi and Associates, LLP, and in particular CA Jigar Shah, and the BMP accounting team of Mukte and Patil, the panel of consultants who help BMPF on a monthly basis for the reports. They are Mr. Mihir Shah and Ajit Shah of Universal Connection for the exam matters, Mr. Patik Shah for GST, VAT and excise related matters, Mr. Hiral Chheda for labor related matters, Mr. S. Lakshmi Narayan for BMP as a company secretary. Saurabh Shah of Landbell, GFS, thank you today for your valuable insight. We'd also like to thank the management of Oberoi Hotel for the wonderful setup. Orchid. Sorry. I'm yet in PS, so can't help it mode. Madhu, the photographer, thank you very much for all the wonderful photographs you have taken. Then the sound team of DJ Nilesh, the decorators Red, Hot and Cold, our sponsors Astrochemical, without which this day would not be possible. And finally, we would like to thank the BMPA team of Prashant Shah and Nitin and Mahendra for their invaluable work throughout the year. With this, we conclude the AGM and would like to happily announce that the bar is open. And the bar is open only till 10 p.m., so pace your drink accordingly.